Welcome to Charleswood, located in the southwest corner of Winnipeg. It is home to over 30,000 residents and boasts an urban country lifestyle that cannot be beat. It has an abundance of green space, a relaxed atmosphere, and is moments away from the wide open spaces. It has been called the suburb beautiful, and it's noted for its small town vibe with big city feel. What more can you ask for? In this video, we will explore some of the nuances, subtleties, and little-known facts about this extraordinary neighborhood that even some long-term residents might not be aware of. Charleswood has ditches, and lots of them. They were holdover from the rural municipality days long before Unicity. After World War II, the Veterans Land Act, or VLA, as it's also known, provided property to veterans that would give them a semi-agricultural lifestyle away from the city. The lots were typically 1/2 to 1 acre, the housing was affordable, the streets weren't paved, and they had drainage ditches, all measures to keep the costs down to the returning veterans and their families. What is now referred to as the older part of Charleswood still have these ditches. There was a study conducted in 1985 by the University of Winnipeg Institute of Urban Studies to see if it was feasible to get rid of them, but it proved to be far too costly, and as a result they remain today. Walking or driving through Charleswood and taking note of the ditches is truly interesting indeed. There are some residents that mow their ditches and some who don't, even though the rest of the yard is well maintained. Not understanding why one would mow a ditch prompted me to ask a neighbor who falls into the "I don't mow my ditch" category. His reply was that the ditch was his own personal ecosystem. I suppose that we all have our reasons. One type of ditch vegetation, though, that seems to be very popular and somewhat of a status symbol is the bulrush. If you can grow bulrushes in your ditch, you rule. The heck with what the neighbors say. At one time, getting from Charleswood to St. James meant using the St. James Bridge. There were no bridges on the perimeter highway and no Charleswood Bridge. However, early in the 19th century, Charleswood was the location of the Passage, a natural ford at the foot of Berkeley Street, where the river was shallow enough to cross. The crossing was used by bison herds, First Nation bands, and fur traders. Parts of the barge pulley system used to cross the river can be seen in the Charleswood Museum. In an effort to learn about and preserve Charleswood history, the Charleswood Historical Society was formed in 1974, commemorating the 100th anniversary of the incorporation of the city of Winnipeg. The Society has also created a museum located at 5006 Roblin Boulevard, just west of the Fire Hall. The museum is open every Saturday from 2 p.m. till 4, and there is no admission charge. It is staffed by volunteer members who will graciously show you around and answer questions. One of the volunteers is a 100-plus-year-old World War II veteran who landed on Juno Beach during D-Day. Len Van Roon has been a Charleswood resident all his life. I had the opportunity of asking him what Charleswood life was like after he returned home from the war, and here is his reply.
Coming back home after the war was quite an experience. There was a dozen people waiting for me, including the girl I left behind. Charleswood Road was still a mud road, no gravel, and the ditches were pretty well filled most of the spring, but that's okay. We were used to that kind of thing, and I was so delighted to be home.
One of the neighborhood's greatest assets is the Hart Trail, which I've already covered in another video. If you live in Charleswood, know about it, and have never been on the trail, do yourself a favor and go and explore. If you know of it and already use it, congratulations. If you don't know what it is, be ashamed of yourself. It's time to take your head out of the sand and get to know your neighborhood better. Did you know the trail has been designated as part of the Trans-Canada Trail? The Great Trail, as it's also known, is a cross-Canada system of greenways, waterways, and roadways that stretch from the Atlantic to the Pacific and to the Arctic Oceans. The trail extends 24,000 kilometers and is the largest recreational multi-use trail of its kind in the world. The idea for the trail began in 1992, shortly after Canada's 125th anniversary, and we have part of it in Charleswood. Charleswood is home, like many Winnipeg neighborhoods, to great sporting teams, but there are notable superstars that deserve mentioning. The first is curling star Jeff Stoughton, who was 3-time Brier champion and 2-time world champion, making him one of the most successful curlers in Canadian history. The second, our group of celebrities, come from Oak Park High School. This is the CFL trio of Andrew Harris, Nick Dembski, and Brady Oliveira. All three have made tremendous strides in progress in becoming not just CFL players, but CFL superstars, and Oak Park is extremely proud of them. Charleswood Dog Park, located at the south end of Charleswood Parkway, was once a part of a golf course. To make way for the parkway, the Charleswood Golf Course located at the site was closed, but south of Roblin Boulevard, what was left of the course became a multi-use park that not only your furry little friends can use, but it's also a place for skiers, snowshoers, walkers, runners, and cyclists alike to use, much to the chagrin of golf enthusiasts. The Caron House was named after George and Charles Caron, farmers from Quebec who arrived in 1880 and resided on the south bank of the Assiniboine River. The house that stands on the site today is the oldest structure in Charleswood. Due to the efforts of Verna Van Roon, the 20-acre Caron Park was established and restoration of the house was undertaken by the Charleswood Historical Society. It is now a municipally designated historical site. Plenty of ditches is not the only thing you can find in abundance in Charleswood. There are lots of deer all over the place. They're on the roads, grazing in yards, and sometimes even blocking traffic. Oh, I know what you're thinking. How can deer in Charleswood be a little-known fact? And you're absolutely right. It's not. Provided, of course, you happen to live in Charleswood. This little-known fact is for the benefit of people from other parts of the city. The deer are one of the unique features that give Charleswood its charm and appeal, but that's not to say that there aren't other forms of wildlife roaming about, or climbing, as was the case with this bear a couple of years ago. Well, that's my quirky little video of little-known facts of Charleswood. I hope you enjoyed it. You're probably thinking to yourself right now that I must enjoy my neighborhood, and I do, and it's a good thing because I've been living in it for over 50 years. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting that Charleswood is the best neighborhood. The best neighborhood to live in is your neighborhood. And if you enjoy it, that's a bonus. So, why don't you get your royal behind out of your lazy boy, go out, take a bike ride, a hike, a jog, pay special and close attention to your surroundings, and maybe you too might find some little-known facts where you are. Oh, and by the way, did I say thanks for watching?